Everybody wants the inside scoop. They want the inside story. They want to know all the secrets. You know, that's why sometimes you get these snake oil people playing on the crowd. Plenty of them around. Plenty of them. I want to actually state there's a really simple way to find out what the elite and the conspiracy is doing. It's not a conspiracy, though. It's a bunch of, I mean, not the way people are talking about it. The game is basically money, power, and ego. Simple. The more you got, the more you want. Unlimited supply. And today's religious statement, and I'll be a little religious today, from our Silver Girl. The love you take is equal to the love you make. So, words of wisdom, and that should suffice for anybody's words to live by. Now, the way to actually find out what the elite is doing is to look at Foreign Affairs. This is foreignaffairs.com from the Council on Foreign Relations. Now, not everybody in the Big Council on Foreign Relations is a bad person. I don't want to talk about this like being the Illuminati or a conspiracy, but they do set the policy pretty much. What they recommend in these articles a lot of times becomes policy. Now, how do I know they're going to attack Iran? Because back in January, Foreign Affairs was stating, time for war with Iran. And they gave all these reasons why. And it actually does make sense. They should have had me write the articles because actually I do a much better job. I don't want to elaborate, but I went over some of the reasons why we should and why they're full of it. But if I was actually putting this out to the common man, why we should go to Iran, I could easily convince people. It's not very difficult to do. And actually, if they weren't convinced, if I was a devil, instead of playing around with planes and I'd just give them a nuke. Here, go have fun. They'll blow up some infidel someplace. You know one of those nut jobs would do it. I mean, really. I mean, if that's what it takes to convince the masses that these people are crazy. So they blew up one place with one nuke. Well, it's better than they did it with 100. I mean, I don't know what it takes for people to get convinced, but they never will until something happens. But they'll always say the conspiracy did it. Well, whatever. The conspiracy just gives them one nuke, you know. I'm sure these whack jobs will use it. So that's one way. That's one way. But I think it would be better just to whack them first before we have to play that kind of game. But also, I want to point out about Foreign Affairs. They will also predict, as our Silver Girl could maybe predict too, they will also predict that the euro is not going to go away. They don't want the euro to go away. You know, this is where Mark Farber, well, he's not making a prediction. Mark Farber's a genius. I got the utmost respect for Mark Farber. He's like a gazillion light years. You know, he's like a shining light of God, and you got this silver cockroaches here on the bottom trying to make BS stories about everything there is. I'm just giving this, you know, impromptu and right from the cuff, but I'm going to tell you, my thoughts are dead on. They are. And you can do what the hell you want if you want to listen or whatever, but I'm going to state right now that Foreign Affairs is calling for the euro to be strengthened, to have more backstops. They're talking about Germany being more of a backstop and a lender of last resort, or the ECB, lender of last resort. They've been stating articles on this. The euro is not just thought in the think tanks of Europe, it's also in the think tanks of Council on Foreign Relations, and actually you can see that in that flagship publication, Foreign Affairs. Subscribe to that publication. It's better than buying DVDs. Guarantee you'll get better information on what's going on with the elite. But it might be dry reading. It might not be so exciting. It might not be so like, oh, the sky is falling. But it will give you a lot more accurate information on what policy is. It's about global governance. It says it right on here. I think even right on the top. Do your part to shape the future. Be part of global leaders' debate, talking about global governance and stuff. Actually, it had it right before that. The Academy of Global Governance. Hey, I mean, really, do you want to know what the elite are doing? Just read this publication. You know, actually write them a letter. Don't write them a nasty letter. But if you have something you disagree with, and actually, I'm going to tell you right now, global government is coming whether you like it or not. It's not necessarily a bad thing. because it depends on how harsh it is. In other words, if it's very laissez-faire and it's something based upon the Constitution and Republic of the United States, it's not going to be a big deal. But if it's like a bureaucracy that's, the same as out of Brussels in Europe, then it's going to be horrible. If you've got a bunch of micromanagers and petty dictators just collecting money to do garbage, then it's going to be horrible. But global governance is actually not a bad idea in a lot of ways. Depends on how it is. Like, for instance, if you said the Bill of Rights as envisioned in the Constitution, that document is super important. That's actually more important than the damn Constitution, the Bill of Rights itself. If you said that's the law of the land everywhere in the world, what the hell's wrong with that? And if you said global governance says it's now legal to grow industrial hemp and to grow medicinal marijuana oil individually, all for each person and nation, and you could do this anywhere in the world legally, to grow food, energy, and medicine, well, what the hell's wrong with that? It's all a matter of how. You see, in the age of, greatly reduced distances between people and nations, sure, you're not going to force everybody to get along. It's not the whole idea. It's just that you're going to have a lot more trade and communication. So, you're going to have some type of government to govern that. In a way, I don't care about global governance. I just don't like petty rules. And, but I just want to get back to some of these things about predictions, because we can assume that the euro's not going to fall apart, austerity's not going to work, QE is going to have to come into form, because even in Europe and besides in the United States, you're seeing the markets collapse, and they're also calling for war in the foreign affairs. So, is that my wishful thinking? No, I just figured that's what's going to happen. Am I convinced? I'm convinced because it is the policy of the elite. How do I know? Just read it. It's right there. It says so. It says so right in Foreign Affairs. It's simple. So, anyway, and the motto the girl has, about the love you take is equal to the love you make. That could apply to Islam too. If they want to cut your head off because you're not Islamic, I can cut their head off because they're Islamic. How's that? They disagree with me. How's that? The religion goes both ways. How's that? The hell with them. And I think that's a good rule to live by. The love you make, the love you take is equal to the love you make. So, anyway, that's what the silver girl says. Hang on to the silver. Hold on to it for dear life, because it's actually going to go way the hell up this year. I'm stating this because it's not hit the bottom yet. I know. And it's kind of like obvious today. It's crashing even some more. But it's good the other markets are crashing, because when the stock markets start crashing, then they start getting worried. They don't worry too much about the metal markets. But the big boys on the top with the policy and the Federal Reserve, they're going to start thinking about QE. But like I said, once they start QE for real, silver price is going to explode. And they're going to have to do it, because it's the only way things are going to go. I could state a number of things. Even at the fact that palladium and platinum are down, those are more industrial metals. Copper's down. Copper, Dr. Copper's down, right? What does that mean, right? I know, like J.P. Morgan's industrial, global industrial index looks like the PMI looks good, right? Globally. But you know what? If all the base metals are going down, we might see some figures coming out here in the beginning of June, which is going to be in a few days, that show May the numbers slipped, because these metals prices should be reflecting what's going on in industry, right? Right. So QE might be coming around the corner. I also want to add one thing. I heard about this Dr. So-and-so. I don't want to mention the guy's name. I'm going to say one thing. He's pretty popular. I don't know if people heard of him or not. I don't want to mention his name, though. He's making these predictions about $200 oil by July 1st, possibly that high. Boy, I think that was a setup big time, although I think this war's coming up pretty soon. Now that I'm looking at it, you got 30 days left for that prediction to come about. Probably total BS, but he's had people buy options on that, so we'll see how that works out. But either way, I'm in double leverage. Double leverage doesn't erode that much, even if oil went to $120 a barrel. that would be a good percentage gain, and I'll just sell and take fiat. So that's the name of the game.